Hello and welcome to Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary. Pleased to see you. Today we're going to talk about something that's mentioned quite a bit recently within the Truth movement. That's certainly been something that's become more and more higher profile, shall we say, and more in the mind of recent times. And that's something called the Mandela Effect. Now, the Mandela Effect, I think, was originally called the Mandela Effect from some people having the memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison. And then we have a Nelson Mandela coming out of prison and then running South Africa. So clearly there's two very strange occurrences there going on from people's memory to the observation of what happened later on in time. So that's quite a fascinating thing. So the Mandela Effect is basically things that we remember from our past that have officially changed in the narrative. So I'm going to give you some examples to think about. Some of them most of them are quite mainstream, really, examples. And there are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of examples of Mandela effects. And then we're going to look at and think about what's it telling us? What's the purpose of the Mandela effect on us? And is there anything we can take from this? So, first example, and we'll go to something from my children's childhood, I should say, and probably something that you mama bears and grandparents certainly will be involved in and have seen, and that's Curious George, a cartoon program. Now, Curious George always had a tail when I watched it with my children, and yeah, you have to watch stuff, but Curious George definitely had a tail, and in the opening sequence he used to hang off a branch off his tail. And when I actually told my children that it had been Mandela'd and George didn't have a tail, when they actually looked at the opening sequence that you now get, they were just like, no way. So that's just a small one in cartoons. And if we stick with the cartoon theme, I can remember as a child having a Looney Tunes board game. I think it was probably Bugs Bunny, because he was my favourite. What's up, dog? But Looney Tunes was always spelt at the end Toons, Toons. But now it's spelt tunes, as in tunes. So so that has changed as well, which is very different to my childhood memories and the physical board game I used to own years ago, for sure. Another one that was probably one of the biggest ones for me, and still is something that is like, no way, going to games, is the Monopoly game. The man with the bowler hat always had a monocle. I can remember that throughout my entire childhood of growing up of playing Monopoly. And don't we now know what Monopoly really means? Because the banker can never go bankrupt, can it? Yeah, we're seeing that one going to be playing out very soon, I think. I digress. But yeah, so according to the internet and the web of all things, the Monopoly man never ever had a monocle. But he did, for sure, in my childhood. Another quite famous one is the t-shirts or the clothing brand Fruit of the Loom. Now, I'm very unfashion conscious, as you can tell, but I do remember the Fruit of the Loom logo, and it had a cornucopia. The cornucopia is a wicker basket shaped into a cone, so it's what I call it, cornucopia. But Fruit of the Loom clothing has never ever had a cornucopia, according to the internet, and I can clearly remember it having so. We then come into television, television, and films. Now, something that was very, very popular back in the day, and I'm sure many of you, particularly the ladies, will remember, Sex in the City. It was quite a big program at the time, I seem to recall. But it's now called Sex and the City. But I always remember it as Sex in the City. So again, that's another change. One of the other, in films wise, which is something that's really, really, you're joking, is C-3PO from Star Wars, who was always a solid gold character, now has a silver bottom part of a leg. No, never. I can remember as a sort of 6-7-year-old queuing up and being taken to see the first Star Wars film to ever come out, which was totally groundbreaking at the time. And oh my god, that leaves an impression. And that dude was solid silver. Sorry, solid gold. Dyslexia, it's great, isn't it? But never had a silver leg, a bottom part, never. And now does, which is just. We also have in Star Wars again. I can remember there's I think it's The Empire Strikes Back or something like that, or Return of the Jedi. I can't remember which one now. Been a long time since I've watched them. Was Darth Vader when Luke was obviously fighting him. It's probably Return of the Jedi, isn't it, when he dies? And he says, "Luke, I am your father." But now it's, "No, I am your father." No, definitely not. And another one that's was one of the punchlines and one of the comedy aspects of the entire film was one of the James Bond's films. Remember the character Jaws, the great big geezer with the metal teeth, and it's probably Moonraker or something like that. I can't quite remember now, but terrible in it. I'm doing a show and I can't even remember, but I just don't watch TV and I don't watch films anymore, so it's kind of, I've let it all go, it doesn't matter, so move on. It was a nice part of my past, and but it didn't it was just a waste of time, really, wasn't it? A lovely waste of time, but didn't really achieve much. So the end of this film, Jaws has this girl he fancies, and the last scene of the film literally is Jaws smiles at her with his teeth, and she smiles back, and she has the biggest set of braces you've ever seen. Oh my god. And it was just so like, wow. And the reason why that film strikes such a memory is one of the very few school trips that we ever had, and I don't know why it would be a school trip, was to go to the cinema and watch that film. So I can remember sitting in the cinema watching that film at the end, laughing with all my mates. So there we go. She hasn't got any braces anymore, but she really did at that time, because that was part of the humour of the film. And I'm sure you guys can remember many of the things I'm talking about. We then get to physical objects. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of the Thinker. Now, the Thinker is a statue, and it's quite an iconic one. And I can always remember and recall the Thinker sat there on his plinth, like this, very clearly. But now, the Thinker has his hand on his chin. And that was never so. Now, in a previous Mandela program I watched, it's Brian Stavely, I think, possibly. There's a lot of Mandela YouTube videos out there which are well worth watching. I think Jason Archaix did one with Shiva Shampoo, who was quite into that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of good content out there about this if you really want to look into all the changes. But there was a photograph produced. Now, the photograph showed a load of school kids sat there in front of the thinker, and all of them had their hand like this. But the thinker statue is like this. Now, why would 15, 20 children all have their hands on their forehead when the statue in the picture has his hand on his chin? So there seems to be some anomalies in the matrix on the Mandela Effect, which is something we're going to go into shortly. But that's quite curious, that one. Now, for those who like a biblical scripture, and the Bible is one of the oldest books, I guess, around, even though it's probably not, but it certainly has a lineage. I'm pretty certain, and I'm no scholar in the Bible whatsoever, but I do know one or two passages, and I'm sure we all do. And one of the passages, which is probably one of the most famous ones, for I don't know why it's stuck in my mind, and probably it's stuck in my mind for this reason, was the lion lay with the lamb, or the lion lays with the lamb. And now it's the wolf lays with the lamb. But I clearly remember and have a strong memory of it being the lion lays with the lamb. And now it's wolf. Now, I saw a program, I think again it was a Jason Archaix, where he showed an old Bible, and the Bible now showed the words are changed in the Bible to the wolf, but next to that passage somebody had written had written in pencil or pen, I can't remember now, but had written the verse in the white margin. So you've got the text coming along and then the white margin here, and in the margin there they had written that passage, and the passage in handwriting was the lion lays with the lamb. And yet when you looked at the book itself, it was wolf. So you have two anomalies there. You have, in the past, somebody has physically written or holds an energetic memory or has put something onto that paper that the ink has changed, i.e. the Mandela Effect. Now this again, Mandela Effect, is one of those cases where it kind of shows you very, very much that we're not necessarily really in a real reality, because our memories can change. Our memories don't really change, but are changed by looking at stuff. Now, another one that just sprung to mind, which is quite a famous one, is Snow White and Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. And it's now Magic Mirror on the Wall, and it never was. And in actual, I can remember in the books and in the film, she had a black choker on with like a gold or something. And I don't think she has a black choker on anymore either, within the film. But yeah, it was Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, and now it's Magic Mirror. And again, these are things that just don't make sense. I don't ever remember my parents having these kind of issues, or my grandparents ever talking about, well, that's not how I remember it. But we really are getting to that stage of that. So, excuse me, I'm dying of thirst. So, cheers. Nice cup of tea. I am English after all. So yeah, we have the Mandela Effect. Now, I think, and it's observable with the last couple of examples, as in the writing and the photograph, that if somebody has a memory or has physically put something down in the physical as us, we have put an incantation down on something, then it appears that the Mandela Effect can't change it. But it can change the printed word in books and probably board games and everything else like that. But actually, if you had drawn a picture of that, I think the picture would be originally how you did it. And we see that in the Bible and also in the picture with the thinker. Now, it's very interesting. All of those children in that photo would have the memory of seeing, I would imagine, certainly the vast majority would have a memory of seeing a thinker with his hand here, not here. And so, because the actual statue has been changed, or has changed because of a difference in frequency or a change in polarity or whatever it is going to be, and we'll actually do the pendulum to find out, I think. Something that hasn't probably been done on the Mandela Effect ever. But clearly the human interaction of the physical seems not to be able to be changed. And so our memories, I believe, are true and fair. We have a jet going over. I'm sure you can hear that. We've had a few more fast jets. American bases, not close, but it's up the road as such. Lakenheath and Mildenhall, and we've been getting far more American fighter jets flying over this area recently than we have in years, and it's quite noticeable. So something's going on. Maybe they're getting ready to bomb the Bank of England. Oh dear. Anyway, getting back. So yeah, we clearly seem to have this thing where our memories have maintained, but the physical around us, or the observable around us, has changed. And that's quite an interesting one. That's quite a different one. And so it would appear that we have changed something. Something has changed. Now, like I said, I've already prepped my pendulum up. I try not to move my hand as much as possible, but I know from years of doing this that from my higher self that that the answer is going to be basically. But it's important that you hold it dead still. So I'm going to hold my hand super still and just ask the pendulum, are you happy to speak with us and such like? And it's going clockwise, which for me is a yes. Anti-clockwise is a no. And when it spins, thank you. And you can see the hand didn't move an inch, centimetres, perfectly still. So I'm going to move my hand now just to demonstrate. That's keep going, the questions thing. This is you asking stupid questions, or I can't answer or won't answer. And a no is when it spins like this. Okay. Now, as I said, with the pendulum, what I've been doing this now for a fair while, and obviously I'm in sync with my higher self, who guides me, and my hand. And so my hand will move marginally just to get it going, but it's not because because I'm faking it. And and the pendulum's now just confirming what I'm telling you, that it is genuinely the higher self with a big yes. So there we go. So without further ado, let's ask a couple of questions and see where we go with this. Now, higher self, is the Mandela effect a real effect? So it is. So we're not going crazy. That's a good start. Thank you. Is the Mandela effect because we have changed, in a word, timelines? That's a yes. Now, I'm using the word timeline, but actually I could ask the same question. Is it because we've changed vibrational frequencies? Now, I'm getting a yes, but it's not such a strong yes. So it's showing more that it's a timeline switch. Remember, with my pendulum, if I get a good swing out here, this kind of level, it's a yes. That way round, it's a yes. And the less it swings, I'm kind of right, but not really. And it's a good way of finding out, or double checking the answers and seeing where we are. So this is a timeline switch. Yeah, definitely. And it's actually going to hit my arm, and there it is, it's hit my arm. So it's 100% yes, that's correct. Now, is this timeline switch because the timeline we were on was destroyed? Now that's interesting. So what we have is the timeline of our memories back then is no longer there. Yeah, it's no longer there. Now that's really interesting. So something has gone on within the realm, the holographic matrix, where we've all had to be moved from here to here, basically. Now, did this timeline move occur because the collective consciousness, or the consciousness of us, was raising? That's positive. Very good. So that's quite an interesting thing, that we've gone to a different timeline because of the collective consciousness, and our consciousness has meant that we've had to move. So as someone like Honeyseed Golden would talk about, would this be like going from the third to the fourth to the fifth vibrational frequency? And that's a big yes. Very big yes. So that's really interesting, and it backs up a lot of what people are saying, and the people I follow who resonate with me are saying. So the fact that in this reality we see different outcomes, is that because in the reality we're currently in, that those changes were of that reality? Yeah. So the fruit of the loon cornucopia never ever did exist in this timeline, in this reality, only in ours. and we have transitioned into this one, which is a higher vibrational frequency than the one we were on previously. Very interesting. And I've just had a bit of a knowing, I don't want to say a download, but a little knowing, and I'm going to ask this question because it's just hit me. With Star Wars and C-3PO, the fact that he's part of his leg is silver and the rest of him is gold, is this a reflection of the financial situation and the fact that the importance will be basically mostly gold but silver as well and look, I'm actually going to move my arm because that is absolutely going. There we go. Wow. So source has told me or given me a little knowing, and there we go. The reason why we see C-3PO silver leg is actually, it's a clue, it's a sign of the coming golden age and the importance of silver comparative to gold. And I should imagine, will this approximately be the ratio that we see in the end of gold to silver in the financial system? There we go. That's quite interesting, wasn't it? So yeah, we have changed and gone into this higher realm. Now I'm going to be doing another video on this, and it's a fascinating kind of story regarding the Christ code sequence and the Fibonacci or the Fibonacci sequence. And let me just ask, I am going to do it's going to be a very interesting video because I can actually show and demonstrate, and I will link this to the guy's video who did this, because it's, at the time we didn't understand what we were watching when we first came across this. My partner was on I'd only just met her really, and she was on the treadmill doing some exercise, and this podcast or this video came across her, and she sent it to me and she said, I know this is really important, but I don't know what the hell it means. And I watched it and it went straight over my head as well at the time. And so now I get exactly what the guy was talking about, and we're actually living in the split, the duality of where we are currently, which is quite fascinating. And this Mandela Effect video is kind of the opening of the door of that, because I wanted to see, I hadn't never done the pendulum before, so I didn't even know what the answer was going to be. But it's very interesting, and that we have raised or changed the timeline, and I will use my pendulum again on the next video that I do regarding the crystal code, the Chris code, and I shall explain it as best I can. And I'm not sure I'll be able to do the slideshow that I want to, but I will have the images up on my phone, and so we'll kind of do a Basil Grimm effect and try and show you. But there will be a link to the video. In the video, if you watch it, you may not fully understand it, but hopefully if you've watched me kind of chunter my way through it, you will. So for the Mandela Effect, I think that links into the last question that I'm going to ask. So the Mandela Effect that we currently see, is this related to the Christ code and Fibonacci split of humanity and where we're going? Yeah. And I also think I know where we're going and what's going to be going on as well, and that's quite a big one, and that could be one that I do with Richard, because I think it's going to be quite an interesting ride, that one. I've got plenty of time to be discussing this, I can assure you, but for that I'm going to leave it there, I think, because I don't want the video to be too long, and I think that leads on nicely to the next video I'm going to be doing, which is going to be the Criss code Fibonacci split. So thank you very much for watching, and part 2, I guess, in a way, will be this split, and we will carry on from there. So thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and remember, this is only for entertainment purposes only. Have to say that, obviously. And big thank you to all the new subscribers and all the wonderful and lovely comments I'm getting. And don't forget to subscribe to my Telegram channel. For all those who want to get ahead of the game, in my Telegram channel, if you scroll up to the beginning of when I actually started it, the Criss code videos are there, and there may be some diagrams or bits and pieces, but I will, once I've done the video, put at the bottom of my Telegram the video and all the images and such like from that video for you guys to see. So thank you very much. Blessings. Bye everyone for now. See you soon.